Keith Sanchez, Paige Dimakos, we are here to fix the New York Jets. And first, they have to clean up the mess that was left by Aaron Rodgers. But we have to start with the mess, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask you, Paige Dimakos, to walk us through how did we get here?
So let's go to our next slide here, okay? It's probably my favorite slide we've ever had in any episode ever. This is not exclusive to Fix My Franchise, right? And I have a feeling we're going to have a lot of slides like this. But the Jets are a unique franchise in that they give us a lot of material to make fun of.
Oh, yeah.
They've been a hot topic this year on the Draft Club, and boy, oh boy, have I enjoyed it.
Yep.
We have enjoyed it, and so has Keith, because Keith will get into the last part of this slide and kind of why they really got there, okay? But the first part of this is the Aaron Rodgers, and that first part of this slide, you're seeing a towel for Gatorade, so Gatorade, feel free to sponsor the podcast. But that towel represents how bad, truly, this has been.
The Aaron Rodgers experience.
The Aaron Rodgers experience. Now, the first year, obviously, it's hard to hold him accountable for that, but he, on the first drive, in the first game, at home, he goes down, they lose it for the whole year. And then he comes back this year, all this hype, all this conversation, get Davante Adams, get all the moves, doesn't show up to mandatory minicamp, goes on an ayahuasca treat, does all this shenanigans to come back and lay an egg this year, Keith. And I think that's the part that I'm having a tough time with the conversation around Aaron Rodgers right now, because I feel like everybody's giving him a lot of credit for who he was and not who he is right now. Quite frankly.
No, 100%. That's what's going on. And you ask, how did we get here? You have to go from left to right, right? And the fact that it was a failure, right?
Of course.
2 years.
Massive failure.
It was a massive failure. And do you remember, this has been so bad that New York Jets fans, they don't even think their defense is good anymore.
I know.
Right?
That's crazy.
Remember, the New York Jets were a quarterback away. Now they're questioning everything that there is about the entire franchise. And I want to go.
That's a tough glow down. That's what I'm gonna call that. Not a glow up, a glow down.
Yeah.
You went from the top of Sauce Gardner and that swaggy defense, top 10 defense in every category, to now, who are we? What is our identity? Lost in the sauce, baby. That's a tough situation.
Let's talk about our guy, though, and I know you had fun talking about the owners, Mr. Woody Johnson. And if this picture right here doesn't exemplify, right, everything they needs to know about Woody Johnson, the iced-out chain with the suit, just silly shit, right? And that
can we just for a moment look at the fact that the chain says Woody and the Jets? Are you fucking kidding me, bro? You are a grown-ass man. The fact that he was so upset that they lost in front of his friends in England, okay? Because he was the ambassador for Trump in London and spent some time over there. And they got embarrassed in London.
Yep.
And they fired Robert Saleh because of that. Is like all you need to know. That, the Madden story this year, his sons being in control, 17-year-old sons being in control of roster decision-making. Keith, what? I'll let you go back to your rant, but this is, Woody and the Jets is like the encapsulation of the stupidity that is this organization.
Yeah, and everything, it starts top down, right?
Always.
And the decisions that he's made has affected every single part of this franchise. From the very beginning of signing Hassan Reddick. You trade for him, and then you don't want to pay him when you know that he wanted to get paid, and then you wait till you're bad, and then halfway through the season, you decide to sign him.
That was
Why
a wild
didn't you just
situation.
do that from the very beginning if you always had the money and was always going to do it? Secondly, Davante Adams.
Yep.
Everybody knew you was going to trade for Davante Adams. Everybody knew it was going to happen. Why didn't you just get it done at the beginning of the season? You wait till you're bad and there's no hope, and then you want to bring in Davante Adams. Things like that, right?
I'm glad you brought those things up, though, because that's a large part of the reason why they are in this position.
100%.
Is because when you got Aaron Rodgers, right, and then you lost that first year, you had a lot of time to sit around and think, right? And you had to sit around and think okay, we got really 1 year to make sure that this shit comes to fruition. And so they did the exact opposite of that. He sat around and became more wishy-washy, more sitting in the middle, right, on this situation. And instead, he decided to go halfway in, halfway out, and do all the decisions that you said.
Yep.
The
100%.
Devontae Adams one is probably the most egregious, if we're
it's
being
ridiculous.
honest.
No,
We
I
knew,
think-
everybody on planet Earth knew Devontae Adams was going to the Jets.
Yeah.
But we waited till the NFL trade deadline to make it happen.
The Hassan Reddick one is equally as bad because you traded for him. But in terms of the trade was that's why he left the Eagles, was because he wanted a contract extension. Y'all agreed in the trade that you would give him a contract extension. Then he got to the New York Jets, and then you didn't want to give him a contract extension.
Yeah.
So like that one is
that's
equally
wild.
that's equally as bad. But we got to finish off this. How do we get here, right?
Yeah.
And this is my favorite part.
This is the best one.
Yeah.
Because I only wanted to put this in here so that you could break down this theory. So please, lay it on the people.
Yeah, this is the New York Jets fans, right? And this is about manifesting things in your life, right? Like this is going to get deep. And from the very beginning when Aaron Rodgers got there, y'all said this is doomsday, right? Y'all had no hope at all. Y'all said, man, remember when Vinny Testaverde played for us and you literally tore his Achilles on the first play in the first time he played for the New York Jets? Y'all manifested this. There's something about energy, right? Good people, good energy, they usually have success. Negative people, negative energy, good things don't happen for them. And it's because it's about optimism and being optimistic.
And listen, it's not just like, hey, I hope this happens. It's every day waking up and being positive.
Yeah.
Because people who are around positive people tend to be successful. People that are around negative people tend to be negative. They have studied this. They have studied this and how much it impacts your overall mood. I just sent you an Instagram about this the other day. Like, negative people, and this entire fan base is so damn negative.
Yeah.
You guys do y'all want to win? Literally, do y'all want to win? Do you want to be good?
Do you want to be good? That's the question. And honestly,
do you want to be great?
I don't think they want to be good because those people, and we talked about this with the Giants a little bit, right? Their identity is in being mad.
It's being miserable.
Being miserable and being bad.
Yeah.
And so if I start winning, I no longer have an identity anymore. Right? So
it's
something
bad.
deep, with the New York Jets. It's something deep, but I really want the New York Jets fans collectively to just start being positive people, right? People like New York. People want to come to New York, have a good time. They want the Jets to be good, but you have to want your franchise to be good.
Here's what you got to do. Break out the sage, okay? Break out the sage. It's time to break it out. Go sage the house. It's time to move past the old aura, okay? Because you got an opportunity to become the man in New York.
Yep, you do.
You do. And the sage just got to wax all this. You guys all believe in this stuff anyways. Your quarterback was going to ayahuasca retreats, okay? Let's move past it and let's move on to the next generation for Jets fans, because the fact that y'all entire identity is being miserable, that can't be what you want.
Yeah,
that's
not life.
No,
that's
man.
not life.
So let's talk about some optimism here.
Let's talk about some optimism. So new GM, new head coach, right?
Yeah.
And the optimism is that Aaron Glenn, we've had opportunities to speak with him quite a few times, right?
Yes.
Very detail-oriented guy, process-oriented. But you look at what is the focus going to be. And I think I'm about to throw a curveball here.
Oh, boy.
I am nervous about this combination.
No, I'm not. This is not a curveball for me at all.
And so the reason I am nervous about this is because the little old consulting team that call themselves Mike Tannenbaum, right? And they
Feel free to let us consult for them.
And I think it's Rick Spielman, right?
Former
And
GM
there was
of the
so
Vikings.
much buzz and conversation around Rex Ryan coming back. You know what I think happened? Rex Ryan said, I'm not dealing with the Aaron Rodgers shit. Call me next year.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, I'm afraid that this is a one-year hire.
I know.
And I think they're trying to just keep it close, potentially go 500, be one step better than what they were next year, and then get the band together next year, and you get Mike Tannenbaum and Rex Ryan back in the building. But I'll say this.
Okay. Jets fans, what did we just tell you? Break out the sage, move past the past. It's time to be different. Yep. And you just brought up, and I agree with you, that this is let's retread. Let's go back to guys that we already fired and got rid of.
We've been around this to know, like, when there's smoke, there's fire.
And let's be honest, Rex Ryan used his entire ESPN platform to advocate for himself to be the job. And Mike Tannenbaum also used his time frame on ESPN to talk about the Jets and what he would do. So they just used the platform that they had to talk about the Jets, right? Yep. And I get it. I understand. It's New York. It's the Jets. It's a huge job. And Rex Ryan, he's the last guy who had this team really good. But fumble. And then it all went bad past that, right? All went bad past that. But I think the toughest part of this for me to get excited about this is that you fired a defensive coach.
Yeah.
Okay? A really good, well-liked, well-liked in the locker room, discipline-first coach to hire a different one. I have a tough time if I'm a fan or if I'm in that locker room understanding where we're going and how things are going to be different. Because you're just going to bring in somebody who now we have to learn his scheme. We have to know, you're just installing more things instead of keeping the continuity of the coaching staff that you had, who was doing a good job, who was not responsible for Aaron Rodgers, Nathaniel Hackett, and all the shenanigans that Woody Johnson did, right? Yep. I mean, that's the part, and this is not an anti-Aaron Glenn thing. I want to be very clear.
Oh, no.
I am pro-Aaron Glenn, but I am anti the New York Jets.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't think, I'm with you, I think they're either going to screw him over and have him there for 1 year, which is my least favorite thing that NFL teams do. And let me be clear, this happens all the time. It's called we're hiring them to fire them.
Yep.
It's literally an entire category of coaches that this has happened to in the NFL. And I have a tough time with the messaging around this hire when you fired Robert Saleh. Well, we want to fix the offense. Okay, so what's Aaron Glenn doing?
Yep.
I don't understand what the direction is of this team, Keith. Yeah. I genuinely don't.
No, I don't understand either. And hopefully he's there. Aaron Glenn, right, there to build culture, right?
Yeah.
And kind of get rid of some guys.
And he came from the Dan Campbell. Obviously, you've seen
gritty.
A franchise that historically was significantly worse than the Jets.
Yeah.
Literally, had never been a Super Bowl favorite, ever. In the 56 years that the Detroit Lions were a franchise. Tells you everything you need to know. And he's been a part of that. And when they coached that Senior Bowl staff, it was Robert Saleh and Dan Campbell. I spent a lot of time with Aaron Glenn. This is a hell of a ball coach. He's a great leader of men. But is Woody Johnson going to stay out the way? Because that's really all I care about.
That's the question. Well, let's talk about what we have. We have additions and subtractions, right? And this is a big part. This is the
sexiest one for free agency. Because you got quarterback, wide receiver on this list here.
Yeah, right, 100%.
Big time.
They made a lot of moves. So obviously the additions, right? They bring in Justin Fields.
My guy.
Your guy.
My guy.
Subtractions. Aaron Rodgers. Devontae Adams said, I'm the hell up out of town.
Yeah, no
right?
shit.
He said, get me the hell up out of
He said, I'm
here.
going to the Rams, baby. I'm going to play with Matthew Stafford, and I'm having a good time with Sean McVay. Good for you, Devontae.
Yeah, and what does this mean for the roster, right? One of the key things I think what happened was this, is that y'all have a young wide receiver, New York Jets fans, named Garrett Wilson, who I believe he was going to say, I'm the hell up out of here, too.
I think so, too.
I think one thing about the Justin Fields thing was he was like, you know what, I'll give it a try with Justin Fields. But I think if it was anybody else, Kirk Cousins, Joe Flacco, Jameis Winston, he'd have been like, get me the hell up out of here. So
yeah, because they have a young nucleus still.
Yeah, they have a young team. Yeah.
And they had Joe Douglas, the GM that was fired. He had a run of amazing picks.
Quite a few picks.
Yeah, the guys that went instantaneous impact starters, right? And that's the part that I think is probably the most frustrating for Jets fans is when you look at that in tandem with the Rodgers stuff, it never aligned, right? And so now you've got an opportunity here. Do you like Justin Fields in New York?
Yeah, so I like it if they build it the right way, right?
Yeah.
And you're talking about fixing the franchise. They have a couple running backs on the team, right? Breece Hall and things like that. And so if they run the football, allow Justin Fields, stop trying to make him into something he's not.
Yeah.
Just pour and
Embrace
invest
him.
more into what he is, right?
Yeah,
and I
for
think
sure.
if they do that, this addition could be huge for them because could you potentially have found a franchise quarterback and you don't have to fight and try to figure it out. But you're talking about building a New York Jets franchise that's totally dysfunctional.
And I think that's where it's like we saw him. Obviously, I watched him in Chicago for many years. I saw the dysfunction that is the Chicago Bears organization and the good, the bad, and the ugly with Justin, right? Then I saw this year in Pittsburgh and what was good about what we know about Justin, but also they didn't surround him with the best pieces, right? We've talked about that. And also I think we always knew it was Russell Wilson's team, and that was on Mike T. But I think he learned a lot from this year. I think he's grown a lot. The problem is he's in a bad organization again, and that I don't trust to put the right pieces around him to develop him. And I feel bad for Justin because once again, I'm like, man, this ain't the organization.
Yeah. So this is going to have to be a player-led situation,
I agree.
right? And I think Justin Fields maybe his play doesn't allow him to be a flat-out team captain and a leader, right? He hasn't proven himself in the NFL to that category yet. But the way he carries himself,
100%.
He will be light years better for the New York Jets as far as committing to the work, the process, being able to be coachable.
Night and day from Aaron Rodgers.
It'll be, so that's definitely an addition. And like I said, being able to keep Garrett Wilson is definitely a big-time situation. But in fixing them, right, what do the New York Jets need?
What don't they? I think we may have had a better list of what don't they need.
Yeah, we ran out of positions.
Yeah,
we ran out of numbers.
It's a lot. And these are, let's be clear, these are big boy. I see cornerback, wide receiver, running back, and offensive tackle. Right off the jump, I'm going, ooh, baby. And our back half of our safety and linebacker, oh, Lord. This is a tough scene.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
No, and this is, right? You're talking about a lot of turnover, and then you're talking about potentially not handling and managing the roster properly. And when you trade for Devontae Adams, you don't handle stuff the right way. Wide receivers shouldn't be a need for you because you traded for Devontae Adams last year. This shouldn't be a need, right? And then you look at the running back situation, right? With Breece Hall coming off injuries, you should have kind of adjusted to that previously and maybe even attacked free agency more aggressive to make sure that, like, hey, I have guys that's kind of backed up and ready to go. I know they have the young guy, Braylon Allen, but if Breece Hall is not 100% again, you still have other things. So,
and the tough part for them is they're in a situation now, and I want to be clear, I do not feel bad for them because they created this situation. But when you trade and give away assets and picks in the future to go after a veteran quarterback like you did with Aaron Rodgers, and then you reap nothing
from it.
It puts you in a really bad spot where you're already at a deficit with your assets and what you have available to play with. Your cap situation is not ideal because you're still going to be paying Rodgers at least part of that money. And then your team needs looks like this damn list, but you have less draft picks. It's not great.
No, it's not.
It's not great.
It's not great. So I think this is what we're gonna do. We're going to go ahead and help them out. Draft Club.
Okay.
We did some drafting for the New York Jets.
Oh, did we?
Yeah, we did the
on
first.
That real nice new mock draft machine that's coming to you guys soon at thedraftnetwork.com.
So the first 3 picks, we went with offensive tackle.
Yeah.
Why we went offensive tackle is because you drafted Olufashanu last year, right? Last year you had 2 veterans in there. You had Tyron Smith, and I believe you had Morgan Moses, right? Both of those guys are older guys. They're no longer with the team. You had them on 1-year deals. So now you have Amon Mimbo. He's able to play right tackle, his true position. And then you have Olufashanu coming back off the injury. Now you have 2 bookend left tackles for the future. Let's go wide receiver. We said that's a need, right? And you're talking about Jalen Noel.
Guy we really like.
Yeah, an electric playmaker that you get the ball in his hands quickly. And I think he can fare well with Justin Fields when you're talking about jet motion, sweeps,
speedy,
quick game, RPO, things like that.
This is a Senior Bowl draft right here. We got 3 guys that were all at the Senior Bowl. All 3 guys.
In-person evaluations matter.
Yeah, it sure does.
And then you look at Dorian Strong, the cornerback, and you mentioned Senior Bowl. That's why I fell in love with this guy.
Yeah.
Seeing him in person, seeing the length, seeing the quickness, seeing the physicality, fluid. If y'all liked Sauce Gardner, I think this guy will be able to step in camp and give Sauce Gardner a run for his money at some point. Just from a athleticism.
Okay. I didn't know you liked him like that.
I like him a lot. I probably end up I gave Sauce Gardner a 2nd-round grade. I probably end up with a 2nd-round grade on Dorian Strong. So this addresses some key needs. Your offensive line is stabilized for the future. You add another wide receiver to give Justin Fields help so you could get a true evaluation of him. And then you add to that defensive secondary, go and get a cornerback.
And they have another 3rd-round pick.
Yeah,
we didn't have it in here, but y'all have another and that's where it's like, okay, you do have assets.
You may go get another running back. Go get a Jarquez Hunter from Auburn or something.
Yeah, for sure, which could definitely help you. Now, let's look at our off-season grade here.
Yeah, and being critical of them, right, I give them a C+ because I like cutting ties with Aaron Rodgers.
Yep. I like having conviction to say this didn't work.
Yeah, and rolling. And
because Aaron Rodgers told us that he's enjoyed the last 2 years. He told us on TV this is the best 2 years of his life. You're full of shit, Aaron. You're full of shit, and we all know it, okay? But I'm glad that with the 1 year, because you know how people hold on to something, and it's like
1 year too long.
It's nah, this is not going to work. It's over with, and it's just time to move on. And then I know that that's hard because you really went chips to the middle for this situation, and you got nothing to show for it. So you just got to reset. And I think that in tandem with, I love Justin Fields. So I think for us, for this grade, we both like Justin Fields, right? That's a positive signing, and they moved on from Aaron Rodgers. And Devontae Adams was going to be a disgruntled employee if he was still there. Let's just be honest.
No,
you're
he
going to be Raiders 2.0, baby. Yep. You didn't need that.
He would have not been happy. And I think this right here, like you said, we went through the mock draft. You have to attack the positional needs, and that's what we did, right? I think we attempted to fix the New York Jets. We give them a C+ thus far. We always got to see what they're going to do in the draft.
Yeah, we'll see after the draft.
You probably should follow what we say to do. We usually tend to do well with these things when it comes to roster building. But that wraps it up for the New York Jets, man. I'm Keith Sanchez. That's Paige Dimakos. We fixing the New York Jets. It's time to clean up your mess.